Okay, everybody, it looks like most people are logged in. Please turn on follow presenter as I'm going to go through the next lesson. And it's going to be run workspaces with email actions. So we are going to go to my lab. And there's a couple, well, there's more than a couple. There's many options to send out emails after or during your workflows with FME and FME Flow. One of them is email actions in automations. So after the run workspace actions usually, or maybe it's even just after a trigger, maybe you just have a trigger to send emails. You can add an email send external action and you configure it with your credentials to another email server. So for example, Gmail, you would input the server, the port, your account and password, security, and then you can configure the email. You can send it to multiple email addresses, CC or BCC people. And then you also need to put an email that it's coming from. Add a subject, and you can also include attachments that either come from the workspace or you can just upload files from the FME Flow resources that we covered on Tuesday. And you can also modify the email body. You can use the text editor to modify the email body, and you can also use the okay, cut out there again. You can use the text editor to create your email body and then also use those automation parameters we talked about, and I believe saw with automation apps using a couple of those parameters, but we use those parameters also in the resource and network directory watch to link the file path. And so all those values are able to be linked into the email action as well. And so you can customize your emails being sent based on results from previous actions within the automation. So the most common use case for this is there's a success parameter or status, parameter from running a workspace, and then it's either going to be success or failure. And I like to use this one in my emails because I'll send an email after the workspace runs. I'll send it to myself, and it's going to tell me whether that workspace ran successfully or if it failed. Another option is setting up an emailer transformer within a workspace. The setup is fairly similar with the same parameters that are required with your host and your port. And you can set up a web connection as well here. So like if you had a Gmail, you could use Gmail. And same thing, specify to and from addresses and customize the subject body and attachments. So you can see just the difference here. However, why would you want to use one over the other? There are some advantages of each. One of the advantages of the emailer is it's pretty easy to use attribute values in the email body. You can also send email during translation, whereas in an email action in an automation, it's going to be sent after the translation finishes from your run workspace. You can still get attribute values from the workspace into the email body. You would need to use an FME Flow automations writer. We will cover that in the next unit, but you can still do that. It is just a bit easier with the emailer if you're wanting workspace attributes. It keeps all the components contained in a single workspace, and this can run on form. However, in FME Flow, like I said, you can include the job information, such as whether it failed or succeeded after the workspace completes. With the emailer, the workspace isn't complete yet, so it might send the email, everything looks good, but later on in the workspace it might fail and you might not know that it's failed. The email action doesn't use an engine while it's processing, whereas the emailer transformer will, because it's being run with the workspace on an engine. You can send an email from a trigger with no workspace. Like I said, you could just create a schedule, so to say, and send out an email with certain information every day at 9 a.m., perhaps. there's different options. Or say if a file's uploaded, you could just send an email that the file's been uploaded. You have no need for a workspace to do those. And the email action is a little bit easier to maintain. Just you can edit the parameters right on FME Flow, whereas if you want to edit your emailer parameters, you would need to download and edit the workspace. And it also creates some separation in your workflow and a little bit more customization. So you could either send multiple emails, perhaps within a single automation. You could run a workspace, send an email, run another workspace, and then send another email. There's quite a few different options there. So I'll give you guys 10 minutes to read over this lesson and complete the quiz, and then we will jump into the exercise. Let me know if you have any questions. You can raise your hand or call for assistance or message in the chat.